Hello, English learners from around the world. And today I'm going to talk about grammar chunks and perhaps why you should learn them. First of all, I think grammar chunks are useful for, I guess, two main types of people. So the first group would be if you really struggle making sentences in English. Grammar chunks could be useful for you because they're usually at the start of a sentence. And if you can learn the grammar chunks, then it should make completing the sentence that much easier. Okay, and the second group of people is perhaps you can speak English quite fluently, but your accuracy is not so good. Maybe you make a lot of grammar mistakes. And grammar chunks, they kind of decide the grammar of a sentence. So they're mostly at the start of a sentence, and they decide what the follow-up grammar will be. So it will help you with your accuracy. Again, this is not a silver bullet. What is a silver bullet? Magic, basically. This is not magic, but it will help. I'm pretty sure it will help people improve their English. It will help you improve your accuracy with your English. But it does require work. It does require work every day, and you get nothing. You don't get anything for nothing. Okay, anyway, what are these grammar chunks? So I will share the screen. Come on, screen. Okay, I will share it, and let's get to the grammar chunks. So here we have some grammar chunks, and you can see that okay, let's start with this one. So you sometimes plus a type 1. I will come to what a type 1 is at the moment. So you sometimes, I only, they usually. So you can see these chunks are actually very small. I don't, you don't, I can, I'm, you're, I'm interested in. So it's a slightly bigger chunk here. She's afraid of, would you mind? Okay, and what are these type 1 and type 2? The type 1 and type 4, these are actually action chunks, and the grammar chunks will decide which action chunks they go with. What do I mean by action chunks? Well, let's take a quick look at some. So it's basically very similar to the grammar table, and you have base form, past simple, past participle. So you have three forms here. With action chunks, there are four forms, because I believe that the ing form is very common in English, and it's useful to have it in the table. So let's take the simple action, drink water. So type 1 is drink water, type 2 drank water, type 3 drunk water, type 4 drinking water. And let's go to the park. So that's type 1. Went to the park, type 2. Type 3 actually for go has two variations. So been to the park, gone to the park, and going to the park. Type 4 is actually very easy because all you ever do is put ing on the end of the verb. Okay, so with today's grammar chunks, we're actually only going to use a type 1 or a type 4. So the first one is not really a proper chunk here, but let me give you some examples. So I type 1 every day. So I eat lunch every day. I give a present to someone every day. I work in the garden every day. I write an email every day. Okay. And we can take you sometimes. So I can say you sometimes eat lunch. You sometimes make some coffee. And they usually, again, we use the type 1. Let's use some different actions. They usually take a shower. They usually go to the park. but usually buy food. Okay, and let's have a look at some of these type 4. So here we go, I'm. And if you've got an action coming after I'm, it will be a type 4. So you can say, I'm eating lunch. I'm working in the garden. I'm writing an email. You're is the same meaning. It's like what you're doing at the moment. You're writing an email. You're making some coffee. And she's afraid of, plus type 4. So she's afraid of working in the garden. Okay, so very good grammar there. Slightly strange meaning. And would you mind also takes a type 4. So would you mind writing an email? Okay, so you can see we got the grammar chunks, and we can see that they determine whether they take a, in the cases of these grammar chunks, whether they take a type 1 or they take a type 4. Why is this useful? It's useful if you want to improve your grammar. It's useful to know what kind of action comes afterwards, and then you can practice. You have a simple practice. So if you know that after you sometimes, it's, you know, you can have a type 1 action. You can say, don't have to use these action chunks. You can use other action chunks. So you can say, oh, you sometimes read a book. You sometimes go to the library. You sometimes sleep late. And so we also got would you mind here. So we can make some questions like, oh, would you mind making me some coffee? Would you mind buying some sugar? Would you mind drinking some beer? So it's a good way to practice. And I think what can you do with this knowledge? I think it's basically is to learn it and then to test yourself on it. And testing yourself is very important, because it's when you make mistakes, is that you're more likely to learn what the right version is, especially if you get immediate feedback afterwards. So that's a quick introduction to grammar chunks. Let me go back to the main screen. Okay, here I am again with the world map behind me. And that was a quick introduction to grammar chunks. Like in the chunk course, we'll be looking at grammar chunks, action chunks, and other kind of chunks that often come in English. And by learning these, they will give you a gateway. If you're struggling to speak English, it'll give you a gateway into learning how to form sentences. And if you're worried about your accuracy in English, perhaps you're quite fluent, you're able to say a lot, but your accuracy, you feel your accuracy could be improved, then learning chunks is a great way to improve your accuracy as well. Anyway, there'll be a lot more coming about chunks, so stay tuned, and I will say goodbye now, but stay tuned for more information on chunks and how you can improve your English.